Hello, it's Gwen, the Crafty Lady. I'm back with part 2 of the Tag Mini. We finished putting our pages together. We start our page. This is our basic page. I'm going to set them aside. We're going to work on our front, back, and spine and cover it and get that finished. You're going to need 2 pieces of chipboard. This is medium weight chipboard. Now you can't cut this with scissors. I'm going to score this with an old blade on my trimmer here, and then I'm going to finish cutting it with my craft knife. I have a roto trimmer. It is all covered with projects. I can't even get to it, which would be perfect for chipboard cutting. This won't cut all the way through. So you're going to need 2 pieces for the front and the back. Cut it 4.5 by 7 1/4. You're going to need 1 piece for the spine. Cut it 1 3/4 by 7 1/4. So I am going to start out. I'm going to cut this first at 7 1/4. That's going to be my first cut, 7 1/4. And there again, I'm just scoring this with an old blade. It won't cut it all the way through. And then I'm going to take my craft knife and cut this off. Save that, and then I'm going to cut 2 pieces. 2 pieces that are 4.5 wide. 4.5 by 7.5. And I'm going to move this over to 4.5 and score it. And cut it. And that piece I have left, I'm going to use for our spine. Be very careful with a craft knife. So there is the front and the back. Here is the front and the back. Now we're going to cut the spine. It's 7 1/4. Make sure that's what that is, and it is. 7 1/4 tall and 1 3/4 inches wide. So go back to your. I'm going to score it again. And then my craft knife. Nope, it's 1 3/4. Okay, it looked a little wider. Okay, there's all your cuttings that you need. I take chipboard and I to make my own type chipboard embellishments. So many now. I didn't used to do this, but I'm doing it all the time. When I buy a collection, and now most of the collections are making alphas, of course. I don't buy a lot of alphas because I don't use them. They're making sticker sheets. They're making chipboard and ephemera, I didn't say that right, packets, and I buy everything that goes with it because then they're so pretty to embellish your things and so easy. So here we are, and I always take my little sand block here and just kind of barely one direction bevel that edge, take the fur off of it or anything, because you don't want anything like that, and you don't want it sticking up under your paper, tearing your paper. I'm going to wrap. I'm going to wrap this, and I'm going to try, and I will, cover it. I've been doing it a little bit different. I've been doing my books a little bit different. I try to do the, see, it'll lay out like this. There's your front, your back, and your spine. You want to leave 1/4 inch a little less than 1/4 of an inch with between the two. So when you fold it up, there's not too much stress put on the paper and chips the paper. I'm going to wrap these. I'm thinking to myself here. And so as I said, I don't know what I'm going to do till I do it. So I haven't chosen any paper yet. I kind of got an idea. I like a kind of plain front and back cover, well, especially the front cover that you can embellish. And then, of course, you could use something for the spine that's a little more decorative. I like this, and I tell you, it's because we're going to use black. I like this too, and it is a little busier, but I love the books. I'm a big reader, but I like that side too. But we're going to cover each of our pages, so we might use that for something like that. This will cover the front and the back. It's plain. I'll use something more decorative on the spine, and such as something like that on the spine. And then that way, the embellishments on the front will show up more. Or I could use something like that on the spine. That's really pretty. Why do that? Okay. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to be able to wrap this. Now I'm going to wrap it, but I'm going to run this up to the edge. I leave a half an inch all the way around. A half an inch to an inch. Let me see. See, now I'm used to being on Ustream, and I don't have to watch my time. I'm going to leave an inch all the way around, but I'm going to butt it up to this side because we're going to lay this on top of the wings of the spine, and so that'll take care of that. Now I'm going to turn it over because the other day I had a problem. Ooh, I didn't get any 3-inch tape. I cover my chipboard with score tape. You want to, you could certainly glue this, but I like score tape. You want or the red line tape. Red line tape is great, and I used to use it all the time. It's just you have to cut it. I tear this. The electricity or whatever it is, static electricity. So I use score tape an awful lot. And all the outer perimeter, and then I have a well, I've got another one over here too. I've got a 1/2 inch ATG gun and a 1/2 inch Scott's gun, and I use that down the center. I like to use tape on the center of my projects because I don't like any bubbles. I like them tight. So I know a lot of people just do the outer perimeter, and that's fine. You do whatever you want to do. It's your book. I just find, and then I always burnish the score tape to make sure we get a good stick. Has anybody out there been making anything really special? You can post those. You're more welcome to post them on my page, my Blogspot, or my Facebook page. This I screwed up. I didn't get this loaded properly on my ATG gun. Too expensive to throw away, and it's been working just fine. And like I said, I got that new, it's not an ATG, it's a Scott, and it is a 1/2 inch as well. I like that. This brown, this is not acid-free, whatever tape, but I have a theory on that. I'm not the least bit worried about that. I have a picture album that's well over 100 and some years old. It was my mother's, who's been gone for 35 years, who was 80 when she died, and the pictures are fine. You'll damage those pictures in an album more with fingers and oil off your fingers and people look and whatever than you will supplies you use, but that's just my theory. So anyway, I'm going to peel this off and we're going to put this down. Make sure you have your page turned over. As I say, the other day I was making a little for my show. I was making I have a new mini that I designed, and I was putting the spine together, and of course put it down on the wrong. It ended up okay because I put a little decorative strip in between the spine and the covers. Now, as I say, I like to mark this first. Take your Timmy ruler or whoever ruler you got and mark at least a half inch. And I always used a half inch, and I'm going to try an inch. Everybody else uses an inch. I'm going to try a half inch. And I'm going to lay it on the edge, to the edge on this side, because you don't need to waste the paper, you don't need the bulk. And then I'm going to line this up on my grid. Makes it easy. You want it straight as you can. Put it on the edge. Put it on the 1 inch line you just drew, and make sure it's lined up. And there you go. Stick it down. I furnish it real well, front and back. I would have done this over. Oh, and then you take your ruler and you cut it an inch. Let's see, let me do this. Line it up an inch. I like them covered. My new one that I did not cover it. It's okay not covered as well. I just, for some reason, okay. So there, because we run that to the edge, the paper on the spine is going to turn over. Let's do the other side. Same process. Pull the tape backing off. So just any hangovers, just I tear my tape, I don't cut it. A lot of people do. There again, I'm going to line this up on the edge, and I'm going to move this in a hair simply because I don't know how straight I cut it. I'm going to put it on the half-inch mark on the bottom and lay it down, and then go back and trim any extra off I have to. Now, you have to be careful the way you do this, however, if this is directional. And it can be. Ooh. It kind of is, but it's faint. You want mirror images of each other. I really should have paid attention to that, but I didn't. Okay, let's do an inch. Down the side, do an inch across the top. As I say, I usually do use a half inch, but I've watched some programs lately, and they virtually all. Okay, so this will go like that. No, it's fine. It really is. So there's your front and your back. Now, I have the little perfect ruler like this. It's what I use. I virtually use the same type of chipboard. I use chipboard I buy my chipboard online from Walmart. It's I like it real well. I've used it forever. You can buy chipboard from Scrap-A-Dab-A-Doo, and I have as well. They have really good chipboards. I think, who else has it? You put this cornering tool on your corner for the distance that you want. You do not want to cut this off. It's a 45-degree angle, and you cut across. You want to leave 1/8 of an inch away from that corner, because when you cover this, you want this to come together like a miter and cover up that corner. You don't want a space in between. And if you cut that too short, you'll have a space in between and won't have your won't cover up your chipboard, and it won't be a pretty finish. And we want a pretty finish. I used to sew. I sewed a lot. I taught sewing. My mother was a seamstress, made wedding gowns and on and on and on. And Mother would always say, make the ends. That's what they used to do. They used to do French seaming, and they covered up their raw seams. That's way back in the day. I have done it. But make your inside as nice as your outside. Wrapping your front and back and whatever does make a nice finish on the inside. Looks real professional. We are making handmade projects opposed to homemade. We do a good job, all of us. I'm sure you do as well. And the little extras that you do is the difference. Now I'm going to wrap these, and there again I'm going to use score tape. I'm going to run this across here. I'm going to have to get up here in a minute when I take another break and get another roll of 3/8. This is 1/2 inch tape, which is fine. I'm going to run this across here, and then I'll take my ATG gun and my 1/4 inch one and run down the side to get an additional stick when we lay it down. You could tape this and do your cut. I always just do it this way. Doesn't matter. I like the score tape for this part, but you don't have to. Now, due to the fact I don't snap my tape off like some of my friends, I go back and trim these off. You could fold them under, but it makes it a little bulky. If it's not too long, you could fold them under, but I tear my tape because it's faster. I have a terrible time with that. We're going to finish this cover, and then we'll start another one, because we're at 18 minutes. I don't know how long I can go. They've extended the time on Ustream. But I don't want to do this, and they say it's too big and not allow me to save it, because I'll be right back to where I started. I would have done this on Ustream, but most of my followers have seen it. Okay, there we go. Now, I also have the 1/4 inch, so I'm going to pull off my tape backing. I do it on the long side first. And then I'm going to run down the edge so that everything is covered. And then I take my bone folder and I just run it down to kind of break those fibers, show that where it's going to live, fold it over, and burnish it down. Now, on the sides of this, you're going to have a little hangover from that 1/8 of an inch that you left, and that's the point. However, if you've wrapped a present, it's like wrapping a present. You wrap your present, and you bring down the top, and you got these two things that you fold in, and then you bring the top up. That's virtually what this is. You want to bring those in, those little tips, even with your fingernail. Let me pull this off and show you. bring in those little ends right there. Just kind of bring them in and fold them down. And then go back and take your bone folder and make sure those are in and bring it over and fold it down and burnish it. Well, that one I didn't get quite as good, but it's okay. See what a nice corner you have. There's no gaps. It looks real professional. And it's not hard. It really is not hard. Take your bone folder, fold it down. There you go. Now that one did better on the little tip thing. I folded it down there. So there is one of your pages. I'm going to do this other one before we're about out of 20 minutes. Goes really pretty fast. I'm going to do this one. Are we on number 2 already? Let's see how. Let's say I don't want to do this and then YouTube not let me save it. Because used to you could only do 10 minutes. I usually do 20 minutes. Fold that down just like we did the other one. Bring this in. Fold it down, burnish it. I didn't get that one folded in as good, but that's okay. Pull off your tape backing. And there again, this is 1 inch and that was 1/2 inch tape, so I'm just going to run that down. Get a good stick. Run your down the side just like that. Fold it over. Oh, this is good too. Okay, there we go. We have a nice cover. Folded. Okay, gonna break again. We'll be back in just a minute with part 3 of our Tag Mini. See you in just a little bit.